Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our fireside, to our coffee living room, to our couch to watch this show. No matter where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and also I hope everyone enjoyed a beautiful full time. Or if you're on the other side of world, enjoy the blooming and the springs. Welcome back to our hashtag humanity. And today we do have all the people from all around the world. We cross for four different time zones, which is quite amazing. And let me start introduce myself. My name is Zheng Li, and I will stay in Toronto, Canada, which is in the Eastern time zone. I focus on sustainability and climate change. Now let me pass the mic to the other co-host, Barry.
Jung, I always love how you start off these shows. And I love calling this a fireside chat. That is so cool. I'm down with that. Um, my name is Barry Lewis Green, aka Tug, the Unity guy, which with Epic Engage. And it's such a pleasure to be on these shows because my work essentially is about exploring character and purpose and how they combine for more effective unity. So this show excites me because we get to talk all around the world about what it is to be human and nobly so. And with that in mind, I'm going to stop yammering on, hand it over to Russell to introduce herself and our wonderful guest.
Hello, everybody. My name is Russell. I am based in Madrid and I work with women and girls, and I'm also a window washer. But that is not why I'm so excited today. Today, I have the privilege of introducing one of the individuals in this entire planet. If we're talking about hashtag humanity, an individual who has walked alongside me for the past 30 plus years, 34 perhaps to be exact. So Geline knows me from the first year of university, right? And we have been together through all the ups and downs that life can throw at us. And we're still here. So Geline has worked for Northern Trust for a little bit, and now she is on a new path and adventure in her life. I'm not going to take over, Geline, and let you get off easily and not introduce yourself. But friends, this is my greatest privilege to introduce y'all to one of my closest friends in this whole world, Geline Jaen. Take over, Jet.
Thank you, Russell. That's very generous. That's a very generous introduction. So, Barry and Zhang, unfortunately, you do not have the advantage that Russell and I have. We could finish each other's sentences. We've been, as Russell said, through many ups and downs in our whole lives. So, we can just not talk for probably, I don't know, maybe years or months, and we can just speak off like we just saw each other yesterday. And I guess that's how it is, right? For a lot of, if you're lucky enough to have a lifetime friendship, which is what it is, and I wouldn't even call it a friendship, it's more like a sisterhood already, then um, I consider myself very grateful and very lucky to be able to have that.
Yeah.
I'm by nature robustly curious. And Russell gave me not a whole bunch of information, but enough for me to be, oh my gosh, I want to know so much. Um, I would love to hear how would you describe who you are and what you do
Who am I?
and what you do.
We are usually defined by what we do mostly, right?
Mm.
On a day-to-day basis. So we usually define ourselves with our careers. So my career has been, and Russell and I took accountancy in university, right? But Russell never made through that path at all. But I'm a straight line. I mean, after university, I took the board exam. I worked for an audit firm. So very much finance and accounting for me. So Russell is, if you take accountancy, you go through the very straight path. That's
Mhm.
me. And you go the opposite direction. That's Russell.
Yes. Life, life happened.
Absolutely. My accounting students, if they watch this, will be very appreciative of that. So the second part of my question, I'm going to do a quick follow-up as the journalist that I'm not. Um, I want to know, I don't want to give away any of the details that Russell shared with me, but I'm very curious as to who you are. Rather, yeah, if that makes any sense.
So what makes you tick, maybe?
Yeah.
Who am I? Well, okay. Um, Again, we are defined by our roles in our life, right? And I think the biggest role which I have now, and I think the same for Russell, I'm not sure about Zhang if it also defines her, but I am a mom also. I am a mom to a teenager. And Russell can can relate to that, being a mom to two teenagers and one soon to be teenager as well. In terms of who I am as a personality, I don't know if you've taken the Myers-Briggs. Have you? You're nodding your head,
Years
Barry.
ago
So
for me.
an INTJ,
Okay.
and
For
very
people who are
much in the
watching who don't know
spectrum
what that
of,
is, how would you describe it?
if you don't know what that is, how would I describe it? It kind of describes, how you are in your core. Like,
Mhm.
what's your personality? For example, how would you react if, for example, a cockroach actually appears in front of you, right? Um,
So how would you?
how would I? Very
Yes.
Filipino, Russ. I will take a slipper and whack it, right?
So INTJ also stands for your introspective. J is
Yes.
your using your judgment. N is uh,
Intuitive
intuitive,
versus
and T is
T is thinking versus
thinking. Thinking
feeling.
versus feeling. Right.
I know it's very practical, right? It's very much
Right.
it's very much someone who does accounting for a living.
Barry,
Okay.
I have actually and I'm gonna let everyone in on a little path that Geline is on because so she has mentioned a few times now that she's an accountant auditor by
Mhm.
career. However, she has taken a huge leap, like a huge challenging leap to redirect the course of her career. And what I wanted to ask really is what does change of this caliber at this point in your life feel like and look like? Because you were comfortable where you were as an accountant and auditor, right? But then you decided to leave all of that and shift in the past. And I'm talking about Barry, this is just the last few weeks. Zhang, so she moved from all of that and is in a completely different sphere now. What is it like to have that fearlessness to allow change to pass through you?
It's not actually fearlessness, Russ. There's a lot of fear in that. And I think that's what change is really is it's never about being fearless about things, because otherwise if you approach something head on fearlessly, without any anxiety, without any doubt, without any fear, then honestly I don't think that you're really thinking about it properly, and you haven't weighed all the options properly. Because, and we've gone through how many years in our lives already to realize that uh, change or making a decision is never something which is perfect, right? It's never, it's all check, check, check. When you take a look at advantages and disadvantages, there's no, there's nothing to put on disadvantages. It's all advantages.
Hmm.
So it's never just all pros. There's always pros and cons, right? So having said that, um, it's big. But again, I don't know. I also believe in gut feel. that you know when something is right for you. So just a brief background for both Barry and Zhang. Um, I've actually recently just left a very comfortable corporate job. Um, at the time of my retirement, I was already country finance manager for a Chicago bank, which has a business process outsourcing office in Manila. And we employ around 1,300 people,
Wow.
which is supporting globally Northern Trust.
Mhm.
So I've left that, and I know that I was also very lucky, and I'm grateful to have had that opportunity to work for it. I've left that in order to help the family business back in
Oh,
our hometown.
wow. Wow.
So from being a country finance manager, I have become a sometimes a waitress in a restaurant, a farmer, a farmer in our hydroponics farm, a cashier in our convenience store.
Right. So, are you saying that you made this huge change because family plays a huge role in your life now?
That's not the only reason. I mean, I also believe that these businesses which we're trying to set up, so it's not just three. It's we also dream of, and we also have these lofty ambitions of growing or making it big, right? So sometimes you do have to take that step. You do have to take that risk because you think that there will be a bigger reward towards the end.
I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to get Jung jump in here too. But I've got a couple coming for all of us based
You
on
go
this.
ahead first, Barry. I will follow on that.
No, you go.
You absorbing like all these stories and experience and also the energy that Jane shared with us. I kind of see like especially for these huge life change decisions, we always know that it's not driven by one dimensions. It's we as a human being
Just
living in these
yeah,
societies, we have our goal for our like career and also goal for our family, also be like a mom, have our goal for the
yes,
kids. And also at the
yes,
same time, you will think about what type of person I really want to be. And that one could change all the time. It's I feel like looking through all the past like about like how much you like for example the one you go to university, what major you study, and when you finish university got a degree, do you
yeah,
really love this
yes,
job? Or do you think about another type of life? Or even be like when you like work for like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you can even go to almost retirement like very like you. You like doing business, you love doing teachers, and now even though you retirement, you are still like teaching.
yep,
It's like that emphasis driving to you. Or like Jane, you be like, oh, I love my I can feel the passion of you to accounting and how much you be proud of yourself to leading the whole national bank. But I can also see your passion that you're so proud that you come back home to help the families doing business
yes,
and maybe enjoy a little bit more like balanced work. Because I work with a lot of I have accounting friends. I've seen a lot of them. They are just like a working horse. Oh, like during the busy seasons. They
Mhm.
literally want to even bring like a sleeping bag to the corporate office to sleep there. So the next day morning they can just open their laptop and start work again. So there's this like a lot of things, but at the same time they'll also be very like happy about their job, especially
yeah,
about like the reputations they can get from it, as a code they can have it from it, and also the fun of part of it. So a lot of these things I would just say that like Jillian, you're like such an inspirations to give me so much like ideas and make me not afraid about the field life changes and be never afraid about whenever the decisions you want to just totally switch your role. So maybe I would just asking for something. I know you just start a new chapter, so is there any things you really missed of your previous Korean goal, like Korean chapters working in the National Bank Bill accountings? And is
Mhm.
there any top three things you appreciate the most in this such a short time? Be like, I'm happy
What
that.
I miss really is we have a very nice office. We have a
Mm,
very nice office, free flowing coffee.
oh,
We are in, the business center of the Philippines, not
oh
even
wow.
of just Manila. We are in the business center of the Philippines. And when you're there, I constantly ask myself, is the Philippines really a developing country? Is the Philippines really poor? Because you're surrounded by all these high rises, very
Yeah.
good restaurants. You would even ask yourself that, right? And
Yeah.
also, what I miss the most is working with smart, brilliant people. I've worked with great mentors and I miss them. I miss working with them. I miss learning from them. I also miss people who report to me who have so much potential, very smart. You know that they will reach so far ahead in their lives. I miss doing that as well. It's really the people, right? It's really the people who make up a
Yeah.
company
Yeah.
and the
So,
free flowing coffee.
People and company in the web. I totally agree that, especially now I think about that, I spend more time with my colleagues
Yeah,
actually than my family, than my friends.
yes.
Because it's like you could not see your friends every day, and if you live
Yeah,
independently, your family are far away, you have very precious time with them. But with your colleague, it's like 8 hours at least a day.
exactly.
Yeah.
Most of your waking hours is actually spent at work, and that's the reality of it.
Like also, I feel like if you like, I also was working in the Toronto's like financial distriction, so I
Mhm.
totally understand. Like, you have a good coffee to start your day. Work with all the talents. They're not only coming from the city, but coming from the whole country, coming from all around the world. Was really a fun
Yes.
one. And then after you wrap up that crowded, busy hustle life, coming to have your fun business, what is the top things? I mean, three things that you feel that I'm so happy I made this decision. I'm so grateful about it.
Actually, in the past few weeks, it doesn't feel like work. What
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing, it doesn't really feel like work. It doesn't feel like, oh, I have a deadline. I have to do this even if I don't want to do it. I mean, I am at the stage where I just love doing it. If something needs to be done and there's a deadline, for example, I still take a look at the finances, right? I am an accountant anyway. Um, yeah, it doesn't feel like work.
so you're enjoying now more.
Wow.
Yes.
And yeah. Barry, you had a question.
Oh boy, do I. Uh, and this is for all of us. Because as I'm pondering this, I'm thinking of my students. Zhang mentioned that I retired in June, and now I'm back teaching. And I had 2 months to realize that I'm a teacher and I want to teach for the rest of my freaking life. Um, but I'm thinking of my students who are graduating and they're embarking on change. I'm thinking of somebody like myself who's just retired and is watching and participating in the next chapter unfolding. One of the things that this show is really all about is exploring what I believe to be true, and that is the amazing nature of the human spirit.
Mhm.
That to be human is amazing. To be human, the capacities that we have. And one of those capacities is the capacity to change. Now, some temperaments find change more difficult than others. I'm certified in personality dimensions, not MBTI, but regardless of the temperament measurement, there are certain temperaments that are more aligned to change than others. But as human beings, change is a constant. And I got a message this morning, and this is all working up to the question. Got a message this morning. I've been on the radar of this musician who wants me to sing vocals on a 4-song EP. And one of his messages this morning said he gave me the 4 songs, and the one I'm going to be singing, and the 4 songs apparently was really a sad ending. And I said, sad ending. And he came back saying, yeah, when you realize it's a song about when everything that you counted on is gone and you have to start over. I thought, well, that's not sad. That's life. Like
Yeah.
that's life. So I said that's so sad. And I get it. Loss is, we need to grieve loss. I've certainly had my exposure to quote unquote loss. Here's the question, and I have it for all of us. But particularly, Geline, you mentioned something to this effect. How do you know when change there's 2 forces of change. There's the external change that comes at us whether we want it or not. But then there's the conscious change, which it sounds you've just embarked on. How do we know when change is necessary and what feels right in that change? So it's kind of a two-header. How do we know when, okay, something's got to change? And how do
Mhm.
we know when we've decided what we're going to change that is right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
throwing it out to everybody, but Geline, if you want to weigh in first, by all means.
I'm gonna turn very scientific on you.
Good.
When you need to move something, if something
Hmm.
needs to change, what happens first? There has to be a catalyst, right? There
Right.
always is a catalyst. What's the trigger of that change? Maybe that's the question. And I think just drawing up on my latest experience, the catalyst was really we lost our dad in 2017, right? When we lost our dad in 2017, um, we were just lucky enough to actually receive, just a bit of inheritance from him, right? And so my siblings and I, we started using that uh bit of inheritance for just to set up a few businesses here and there. Also, I guess I'm just lucky to have siblings who are also very entrepreneurial.
Hmm.
So I'm actually the only person who was employed in a normal corporate job, while my siblings have been always entrepreneurs. They have been very, you know, opposite to risk averse. They've always pursued opportunities.
Yeah.
And it came to a point where, they've been building these businesses and they've been dreaming about these businesses, but they needed someone, probably someone who will be the voice of caution. And that's me.
So can I bounce an idea back to you, what I'm hearing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong? The
Yeah.
part of the answer in knowing when it's time for a change is you mentioned there's a trigger that says,
Yes.
okay, something.
Hmm.
But B, I'm also hearing that when we see how we fit into the change. You just said
Yes.
that most of your family were what I will affectionately say on the dark side of the force. You know, right? I'm an entrepreneur too, but it's like they were all over
That's
there
very
and I'm over
astute of
here.
you. Yeah.
Pardon? But
That's
you
very
noticed
astute
how
of
you could
you.
fit. Yeah, you noticed how you could fit into this and be of service to this idea. It sounds to me. I don't know if that makes.
Yes. So you know what your purpose is. I
Mm,
think just to be very specific about it, I knew what I needed to do. I knew what my purpose was. I knew
yeah,
what my role was going to be,
yeah,
why I was needed.
yeah.
And I think when I was trying to decide whether I was going to, take an early retirement and pursue this or just stay at my cushy job, um, my decision was that, you know, what's the worst that can happen, right? I mean, the worst that can happen is, let's say, if things don't really pan out, I'm not going to be zero. I mean, it would be very easy to find a job after this, to find a
Mm,
corporate job. But this is an opportunity for me to actually do something very different. Um, Probably make a little money on the side as well, right?
mm,
Absolutely.
And if you believe in the businesses which you've set up, or the businesses which my siblings have set up, if you think that there is opportunity there, there is growth,
mhm.
then why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to share, by the way. I mean, Jeline, sometimes because here's the problem of knowing someone that well. We have a sense also of the depth of the trust the siblings have in her. It is profound, right? Her presence in the family unit. So when we say the Ha-En family unit, it's a huge clan. Um, but Jeline, being also the oldest child, has a respected position. It's an influential position, and the decision making which happens in the family, not that she has the last say, but her words have weight, right? So it's a cultural approach which in the West is not always implemented, but
Yes.
in the East, Jeline being firstborn it's a powerful role, which her role in particular is trust infused, right? So you can imagine, Barry, her joining the family business now, what it's going to look like 10 years from now, because she's the voice of reason and conscience,
Absolutely.
right? And I cannot wait to see where you guys are going to take the businesses towards. But bringing back a little bit, Barry, to your question, how change is sometimes external or internal, right? What is that thing which causes the change? So I've experienced those in two different moments of my life. The external change happened for me when I was young and ignorant and arrogant, right? And then an external force moved me into a correct path, right? So I
Mhm.
was out of the Philippines into Israel, into a more dedicated path. The internal change for me happened almost 15 years later. No, sorry, about 10 years later when I had my first offspring, right? That I felt like I needed to redirect everything because I cannot imagine a world which will not accommodate my offspring, right? Not, I mean, in the sense of safety, in the sense of education, health, and stuff like that, that this offspring can become a full grown human. So I started engaging with the world differently. So that change was pushed forward because of the child, right? And I'm not saying I was so wild when I was younger, but you can imagine the kind of humans that Jeline and I are. We love to experience the full breadth and depth of a human experience, right? The life that we can have. We've experienced almost everything together, right? So change, I think, can happen in different moments of our lives, and different kinds of change happen to us because of different reasons. But I think and this is the question for all of you. Sorry, I'm kind of monologuing, and I apologize. It is not my intent, but Jeline and I were just speaking 5 minutes before we came all on board about the value of witnessing the life of somebody else.
Mhm.
And when she shared that with me, she really like pushed me back into a humble place, because we have a colleague who tests us with the kinds of things he shares. And we don't see the value of it. I didn't see the value of it. And then I asked Jeline, why is this being placed out there for the rest of the world to witness? And then she mentioned to me, because he needs to be witnessed by us. If
Mhm.
we are not seen by someone else or heard by someone else, do we in fact exist, or do we have value to humanity?
Yes.
Right? So this is the question. Do you feel the same, that you also need to be witnessed and seen by others, to give value to the things that you do?
Yeah.
That is
Wow.
the question, which I'm hoping y'all can answer.
So we've got for people watching and for myself, we've got three questions now bouncing back on the tennis court. We've got this notion of how do we know when a trigger is like it's happening, and how do we know when we
If it's
know
right.
what we need to do, and there, what is this importance in witnessing? If I'm hearing it right, what is the importance in witnessing the the path and growth of others as they embark on their own change? Did I hear that right?
Right.
Oh boy, this is a soup. Okay. I got some thoughts, but
So,
I'm not going to go first.
I mean, I just want to comment on that. Show Barry, you are such a great teacher because you're so good at listening. And you're also very good at summarize everything in very short but precise sentences.
Thank you.
That's true.
Who
I
wants
mean,
to weigh in on this now? I can lead off, but
Go ahead, Barry.
I think this is such a brilliant question because now that I'm back in the classroom, I'm reminded that for the last 30 years, I've been surrounded by 20 somethings. And some of those I have witnessed um, their careers 20 years later.
Oh,
And
nice.
not that I've had a part in their success, but I've witnessed what they have done with what they have done, and it is so humbling and gratifying to see. So the whole notion of witnessing, I'm just so glad you reminded me of the importance, as I've got these students in my classroom now, to not just go in and do my very best in the classroom, but to understand that God willing, 15, 20 years from now, I'll witness what they're doing and what they built for themselves. So I think that's so important. I think the trigger for me, and it comes back, I think, to what Geline you were saying, is that there is a book years ago by Richard Bowles, who wrote What Color's Your Parachute? Great book on career planning and career changing.
Mm.
And he said, you can feel it in your members,
Yes.
in your body. Your body knows when it's time for a change because it's resisting everything that's coming at it. Like this does not feel right anymore. It used to feel right, but it's not feeling right anymore. And our body will send us signals. I also think that it will send us signals when we find what it is that and I can see it even from this far away with you, Geline. I can see the joy and the happiness that where you are now, it just feels right. I sense that it just feels right. It's the cognitive and the scientific is absolutely important, but there's something going on in our bodies when we go, okay, this is not feeling good. My problem is that sometimes I will ignore that voice,
Hmm.
and I think what's occurring to me in this conversation is that probably the best decisions I've made in my life have been when I've listened to my body. The worst decisions I've made in my life and when I haven't. And by that I mean, that every cell in my body feels that this is not right, and then when I've made the right decision, and I'll finish it off by saying this: I'm back in the classroom. The 2 months that I wasn't in the classroom, and I was thinking I might never be back in the classroom, didn't feel right. Every part of my body, I was thinking, what am I going to do? And now I'm in the classroom and I'm breathing. I was, oh my God, this is like, give me till 92. Let me do this till 92. Okay? Those are my thoughts on all three of those, but I'd love to get your thoughts because I think I got some more learning to do here.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. We do have to listen to our bodies. And I'll give you a very tangible example.
Mhm.
Way back in 2014, I have already been working for another well-known bank. Um, I've worked for them for about 2.5 years. But, the people who I worked with, I didn't really like. And I didn't really like the culture as well. It was not a very cooperative. It was not a very nice culture to have or to work with on a daily basis. And it just manifests in your body. So I had cysts in my body which needed to be removed. So I've had two operations within a month of each other. One was I had a cyst removed from my breast, and another one was my I've had my ovary and my fallopian tube removed 2 weeks after. So it was something major. But they say that, breast cancer and developing cysts, especially for women, is first, it's hormonal. But what triggers the hormonal change here is also stress and
Yeah.
whether a woman is happy or unhappy.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think because I was in that environment where I wasn't really very happy and I was under a lot of stress, that triggered everything. And 10 years after, it was 2014, right? So 10 years after, I continuously had my checkups. It never recurred again. I'm happier, I'm healthier, probably not as thin as I was 10 years ago. But in terms of that kind of, health manifestation, it never recurred because I was never back to that kind of situation where I wasn't unhappy and I was just dragging my feet to be in that or to work. So one of, I guess, another decision which I've had to make in my life was, I stopped. I just resigned from that job and just rested for a few months. And then I found another job after 4 years. I'm sorry, 4 months.
Yeah.
But in that 4 months, I really prayed about it, like prayed about it every day. And I was very specific with my prayer. I, I wanted to work for this type of company where I was happy, compensation is fair. I will have time for family.
Yeah.
And, sometimes prayers are very powerful.
Yes. And I think in your case, they're all being answered now. Perhaps not 10 years ago, a decade ago, but now they seem to be all the puzzles are falling into its places. And for all of you who are listening, for me to witness Jalene's transformative change through her life, right? I love using the word transformative because I remember her in university. And I remember how she was as my children were growing up. And I remember, and recently we were in Paris together. And the conversations we had as women together, that shift, right? I saw the transformative effect on her, but also on me, right? So she's an anchor to me, and the reason I'm bringing the word anchor up is I think as we show up in the different spaces we do, we need to be sustained by people who trust us and have no judgment about our path, but also who will allow us to surge forward, right? So they're not our barriers, but they help us propel forward. And if you have the opportunity of having someone like Geline in your life, someone like a Geline for me in all of your lives, the surging is going to go higher, right? And not only that there are less barriers, but the possibilities that you see as you move forward, you're like, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. All of these possibilities are open to you because of the support you get from the people who are your anchors. So for those of you who don't have anchors, find them and put the time in to nurture that relationship, because it is not that you're calculating, oh my God, it's going to benefit me. No, but because it is really like you feel so rooted in your humanity, right? So in this regard, I'm really grateful to Geline, but it is a symbiotic kind of support system, right? She supports me, I support her, she supports all of our other friends and the family. So it almost looks like a huge spider web.
Mm.
And two of those points are me and her. But it's a huge spider web, you can imagine, right? So I think that's how we have to think of how we show up in the work that we do to have these kinds of support systems, right?
But Russ,
I-
I wanted to tie it up to Barry's question last time, the third one, which was how important is somebody to witness this kind of change? And Russ, you talk about me being your anchor. You are also my anchor in that regard. Because if you remember, I've been talking about this type of change for, I don't know, probably I think since we moved since we met in Paris or just after that, right? I mean this decision did not come lightly for me
Right.
for Barry's and Zhang's information. It did not. Um so how important is it to have someone as an anchor and as a witness in your life, someone who has been with you and who knows you like for 30 plus years?
Yeah.
And that was Russell what was to me was I've had to I've had to actually bounce off this idea and say, Russ, I'm thinking about just retiring from my work, right? I can already take an early retirement. I'm thinking about retiring from my work. In particular, my sister, uh, especially our youngest sister, has been, building up all these businesses. But she is by profession a medical practitioner. She is a doctor and she's a pulmonologist. So she has this dream of setting up all these businesses, but she still also wants to be a doctor. So, that was my purpose, right?
Absolutely.
And you need someone to actually just pull you to the ground and say, is this the right decision? Are you thinking about the right things? Did you consider one, two, three, four factors in your life?
Yeah.
Which is what Zhang also said, right? Zhang, you said it's not just one factor, it's many, multiple factors that you have to consider. And it's never perfect.
Right.
You will have to sacrifice one in order to achieve one.
Right.
Yeah. John?
Totally agree with this, like all the things you just shared, and especially when Rosa and Jenny said like you guys are the stronger knots in that spider web, and you look witness each other's grow, help each other. I feel I'm lucky that I have the same type of like girlfriends and girlfriends who shape like friendships.
Mhm.
That was really incredible. It's very interesting that when I moved into like Newfoundland, like Canada was like almost 8 years ago. I was connected with friends. We all in different majors. Especially with this girl, we in different major, we're in different program. I'm doing my master, she's doing her undergraduate, and she graduated earlier than me. And because some of the reasons that we didn't connect very strongly at the beginning, we just, like Facebook friends where we
Mhm.
see each other in the social events, but like touch is very shallow. But there's a chance to make us like connect so strongly when we both left the school and start our career. And it was become so funny that when I changed a job, she actually started a job at the same month at me. And it happens twice. Yeah, it's like when I said, oh, actually, I'm going to change jobs, she said, yes, I'm doing it. And we're going to change job, for example, in January. And she started just 1 week earlier than me. And now this time's happening again. Like when I said, oh, I'm going to start a new job kind of in September, and she started 1 week earlier than me as well. So it's very, very coincident and very grateful that we are in the same of type of life stage and we can see each other like mirror, like reflections. And
Mm,
we can understand that what difficulties we are facing too, and why we need to change, what makes us change. Do we scare about the new, like the new job, the new chapter of life? Yes, we do scare about it, but do we
Yes.
understand each other's like confusions? Do we understand hesitation? Yes, we understand it. And the most important, we encourage each other, be like, things could not gone worse.
Right.
And if it's gone worse, I'm here to be with you.
Yeah.
So this is like, as you say, Russell is very strong. And the only things I want to add on to that, it's very important, like you said, to have like a friends or like a friendship, like a net kind of support you. And also, second thing, the things like it's never too late. And if sometimes you didn't click at the first time, don't worry. If you be cannot be designed, be written to be friends, you will still be friends in the futures. So it's not something you be kind of forced for to have it. It's something that happens very organically, naturally, and you just need to don't rush. It's like the plant. The plants have the time to have the fruits, have the time to bloomings,
Mm-hmm.
and you just need to wait for that time. It's nothing something be like, oh, let me give it a lot of water, a lot of love, so we can wish this plant just to have the flowers next day. It's never gonna happen. That's the
Right.
time it's supposed.
Drown.
Yeah, and also for that, and also the trigger for a plant to blooming, and we set a trigger time to change. I feel it's um, just a very kind of very interesting things to share. Like we, like me as Chinese, we believe fortune. And we have a lot of things about like fortune tellings, a lot of things about like having the futures. We actually said that the best things, the good things, would start to happen at your lowest point.
Uh-huh.
mm,
If you feel very harsh, you feel this difficulty, you know what? There's good things going to happen. And if there are any things in your like really low time going to change of your life direction, go take it because that's your good luck come and you
Mm-hmm.
catch up it.
that's interesting. I love that. Um, I think we're at that. I mean, I could have this conversation all day.
I was just about to ask a question, Barry, and then I looked at the time. I'm like, oh, I should maybe not ask.
Well, you compose it. We're going to put the bow on it for now, but the question could be part of your putting the bow on it. For Jalene's information, usually we wrap up by going around the table and just seeing what is occurring to each of us that we might want to either double down on. Maybe it came up in the conversation, maybe it didn't. It could be a question that we wanted to ask, and um I've there's four ideas I think that are going on in my head that I'm going to try and organize into a coherent thought, and I don't have to go first, but let's do a go around the table on a thought or a question that is popping up for each of us. And I can go first, and that allows people time to think.
Go ahead, Barry.
Um, so I think there's 4 points. Somebody mentioned sacrifice. The virtues card for sacrifice says to give up something important for something more important. I think that's important to understand about sacrifice. It's not just loss, you're gaining something.
Mhm.
The second thing is that you were talking about anchors, and the metaphor that occurs to me is an orbit. I was fascinated by a trinary star system as a kid, three stars circling each other and traveling through space. This notion of who's in your orbit, who's traveling with you. And you folks have a blessing of having two of you traveling together, witnessing. I think that's really important. Third point that I'm going to offer up, and this is my silly brain at work. It occurred to me during the conversation. My cousin used to say, "No more icky." Like
We're
when it felt icky, no more icky. And so I've come up with this expression. I'm going to walk away from this conversation called the icky icky shake. And that means I'm going to watch for the ickies and seek out the shake. The shake is delicious. So the last thought I'll offer up, and it was spurred on by the last part of this conversation, was I remember when I was 27 years of age, and my wife at the time and I had decided to go to Vancouver. She went ahead. She was a nurse. She could find a job. I was driven to the airport by my father. My mother wouldn't go because she was emotional, and her boy was leaving, and Vancouver's 5,000 miles away. And so Dad took me to the airport, and I got a little emotional. I said, Dad, what if it doesn't work out?
Mhm.
He said, you can always come home.
Oh,
And I
nice.
think knowing that you have a home to always return to makes change all the easier to take on.
Yep.
So my thought to anybody watching is know what your home base is, know what your orbit is, and then go out and be fierce. That's my thoughts.
That's very nice. I love that.
Sheng,
Thank
would you
you.
like to go next?
Yeah, sure. I mean, mine's one would be very quick because I know today we have a lot of conversation. We talk about the changes, the weakness, the friendship, the supports, and also the things. Um, I just want to quickly share about that when you feel, because I understand Jenny will talk about the work, like work from stress. I have that hard time as well. And I understand that you be like give up something, be like people think you would definitely have a great future, or all your peers or your classmates was on the track, and then you decide to change to a new one. I totally understand feelings. I mean, just for that times, like if anyone was in the same situation when we watch this show, the way I kind of help myself pivot up is first just cooling down. You don't need to think about it right now. You need to give yourself a break because any decision when you make when you're very nervous, very anxiety, it probably would still be a good decision, but won't be the best decisions. The first thing I say, you couldn't, you take you out from this situation. Do something, relax yourself. Just don't care about work. Close your laptop. Have a huge nap with the most like the candles you like or the like freaking you like, and have a very nice dinner with your energetic. You can do some small change in your life, like have a plant or just to be like, okay, I'm going to eat my breakfast every day. I won't like my work take anxieties of my morning. I will going to have a proper breakfast, something be like that. And then just don't freebie out, ask for help. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
this one, do I make the right decision? Should I go and stay with it? And also the last things and also important is like, there's always way if you regret it, there's always you can come back. It's not the end of the world. If you make a change, you don't like it, you can always reverse back. It feels like a gaming, there's save and load.
Yeah.
Like we can, and the same thing for your life. If you don't like, you just come back. That's it. That's not a big deal.
Love it. Love it. Who's next?
I think Geline should go next because I would love to go last before Barry pulls us all together for that last V thing. Jet,
Thank you.
why don't you do your little
Sure. I think we talked a lot about friendships anchor orbit from Gary, right? Anchor for Russell. Friendships for Zhang. But I think and for everyone here, what is important is you also actually choose the right people to be in your orbit, to be your anchor, to be your friends. Because, having the having similar principles or having the right principles there, um, and having that kind of commonality, um, is very important. It and that's what I would advise my teenager right now. I said, it's fun to have fun friends, but you also have to choose the people who you are with
Yeah,
because you become them and you influence. They are an influence to you as much as you are an influence to them as well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jet. So it's funny because this is how aligned me and her are. I was just gonna talk about that. But the word I was going to introduce actually is accountability. If
Mhm.
we are fortunate enough to be wise enough in the choosing of these individuals. They will hold us accountable through the process of our life, right? And they will do it without shaming us and without, making us regret anything. Rather, they might, if we are lucky, they will use humor to redirect our path. But that level of accountability is necessary because we're human and we make mistakes. But this person or these people, they will call you, come back, here is the path, right? And she has done this, I kid you not, both of you, Zhang and Barry, she has done this for me from when I was 16. And it was constant. So this is 34 years of constantly bringing me back. I know you guys think I'm an angel with my wings, right? No. These things did not like just show up. The part of the unfolding was facilitated, right, by the person who has held me accountable. So I'm really grateful for that, Geline. And I'm really grateful that you have been a constant in my life, right? So for all of you, find that person who can be a constant for you because it's not an easy life to live, especially in the climate that we are in nowadays, right? The political climate and the environmental climate, all of those. It's so just infused with so much turbulence. So we need the few anchors, right, who are constantly holding us accountable. Thanks.
This has been such a rich conversation. I'm so glad that we had this opportunity to do this. As Russell alluded to, this is the point in time where I do the two fingers and the planet. Geline, you asked me where I was from earlier. I always say Earth, because that's where I'm from. But yeah, my thought is we need more peace in the world. And part of the way that we're going to find peace is by finding our anchors, our orbits, and our friends and moving forward. So I'm saying peace. What are you folks saying before we sign off?
So,
No, this is not peace, but this is my peace.
Yeah, that rocks on. See you, folks. Bye.